As we told you earlier, Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan met with President Trump today at the White House to talk about the sometimes difficult relations between the two nations and the war on terror. A short time ago, I spoke with the Prime Minister and began by asking about his Oval Office visit with the President.
I was very happy with the meeting. I found President Trump refreshing in the sense that completely someone who's a straightforward man, no mixing of, no juggling with words, just came out straight with things, and not just me, my whole delegation. We loved the meeting.
A lot of your meeting today dealt with Afghanistan and the future there. At one point, the President, talking to the press while you were there, said this.
If we wanted to fight a war in Afghanistan and win it, I could win that war in a week. I just don't want to kill 10 million people. Does that make sense to you? I don't want to kill 10 million people. I have plans on Afghanistan that if I wanted to win that war, Afghanistan would be wiped off the face of the earth. It would be gone. It would be over in literally in 10 days. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to go that route.
Were you surprised by that kind of formulation?
Well, I guess what the president meant was that, if you had a scorched earth policy where they went, a military machine went from one side of Afghanistan to the other with aeroplanes. I mean, the U.S. has the greatest firepower in the history of mankind. But clearly, I mean, that would be devastating. And already people in Afghanistan have suffered 4 decades of conflict. The number of people died in these 4 decades. And so the last thing Afghanistan needs is more violence, and it needs peace. The Taliban should become a part of the political process, and so then you would have a government which will represent the people of Afghanistan.
Have negotiations with the Taliban been productive, sufficiently productive in your mind?
I think they've been the most productive so far. I mean, up to date, they have gone the furthest in sort of for the two sides coming together.
Former Defense Secretary and General Jim Mattis, I interviewed him back before he left his position, and I asked him about Afghanistan. He said this:
if we leave 20-odd of the most dangerous terrorist groups in the world centered in that region, and we walk out of there, then we know what will happen. Our intelligence services are very specific that we will be under attack in a number of years.
What do you say to that? Concern that if the U.S., even after all this time, and there's a hunger to leave, that if we leave ourselves vulnerable again?
The U.S. has no issues of Taliban ever attacking any country outside Afghanistan, simply because Taliban is a localized movement. It's not some international terrorist movement. Ideally, if there is a stable government in Afghanistan, which a broad-based political government after the elections, that would be the best guarantee that there would not be any groups that would threaten the United States or the Western countries.
There's just people who look at the Taliban and say they're just not there yet. I mean, in your country just yesterday, there was a suicide bombing that the Pakistani Taliban said they were behind. As we're negotiating with the Taliban, they're still initiating these attacks.
The danger is, of course, for Afghanistan and Pakistan, is that if we do not have some sort of peace settlement in Afghanistan, the danger is of ISIS. And ISIS is more of a danger not just to us, to Pakistan and Afghanistan, but actually to other countries too.
You mentioned in the Oval Office that there may be some announcement about others who are being held. What happened?
There are two, I think 2 or 3 American, one Australian who have been kidnapped, who've been held in Afghanistan. And Pakistan is playing its part, and I think we are very close. We hope to give some good news in the next 48 hours.
Fantastic. Will you release the jailed doctor Shakil Afridi in Pakistan, who many believed helped the CIA bring down bin Laden?
This is a very emotive issue because Shakil Afridi in Pakistan is considered a spy, and
For the U.S.
A spy for the U.S. And you know, we in Pakistan always felt that we were an ally of the U.S. And if we had been given the information about Osama bin Laden, we should have taken him out.
But you understand that the skepticism of the ISI and all of the leaking that was going on early days.
And yet it was ISI which gave the information which led to the location of Osama bin Laden. Because if you ask CIA, it was ISI which gave the initial location through the phone connection.
But the U.S. was acting after being attacked on 9/11 to try to get the mastermind.
But bear in mind that Pakistan was fighting the war for the U.S. I mean, Pakistan wasn't attacked.
So you're trying to get a good relationship. Why not let this doctor go?
But at the time, it hugely embarrassed Pakistan. Pakistanis were embarrassed. Here we were an ally of the U.S. And the U.S. did not trust us. And they actually came and bombed and killed a man in our territory. I think it was...
Not just a man, the terrorist who killed 3,000 plus Americans.
Well, let's not forget that Pakistan lost 70,000 people in this fight. We were fighting this war for the U.S. and we lost all these people fighting this war. So there was obviously a lot of anger about the way this whole thing was done. But, you know, that's all in the past.
You're a new prime minister. You can make a decision, can't you?
There are some decisions in a democracy which, you know, even a prime minister finds it difficult because we do have an opposition. But this is something that can be negotiated.
Over time.
Yes, we have. We also have someone in prison in the U.S. It's a frail woman called Afia Siddiqui. So, yes, we could negotiate some sort of a swap.
Was that talked about today?
Not today, but in future, because we know that that the United States wants Shakil Afridi, so we can negotiate. I mean, no negotiations have started, but you know, with Afia Siddiqui, we could negotiate.
If India said we would give up our nuclear weapons, would Pakistan?
Yes, because you know, nuclear war is not an option. And between Pakistan and India, you know, the idea of a nuclear war is actually self-destruction, because, you know, we have a 2,500-mile border. Also, I think there's a realization in the subcontinent that, and there was some incident happened last February, and we again had tension at the border. We had an Indian plane was shot down in Pakistan. So there's a realization, and that's why I asked President Trump that if he could play his role. U.S. is the most powerful country in the world, the only country that could mediate between Pakistan and India and resolve. The only issue is Kashmir. The only reason for 70 years that we have not been able to live like civilized neighbors is because of Kashmir.
You know, the Indians, you know, responded right away after that news conference, and they put out a statement saying, "We have seen the president's remarks to the press that he is ready to mediate if requested by India and Pakistan on the Kashmir issue. No such request has been made by Prime Minister Modi to the U.S. president. It has been India's consistent position that all outstanding issues with the Pakistanis are discussed only bilaterally." Goes on to talk about the various agreements only between India and Pakistan bilaterally.
Because bilaterally there will never be. There was one point when there was General Musharraf and Prime Minister Vajpayee of India where we did get a bit close to the resolution of the Kashmir issue. But since then, it's just, you know, we are poles apart. And I really feel that India should come on the table. U.S. could play a big part. President Trump certainly can play a big part. And, you know, this is we're talking about 1.3 billion people on this earth. You know, imagine the dividends of peace if somehow that issue could be resolved.
Do you think Iran wants a nuclear weapon?
I can't say about Iran wanting a nuclear weapon, but as a neighbor of Iran, we certainly hope that this does not become a full-blown conflict.
And what are you doing? Can you help with the transit of ships or the?
We would love to help if obviously we were asked, because we are a neighbor of Iran. But I'm just saying that from what Pakistan has been through, this war on terror has cost us over 70,000 casualties, over 100 billion rupees lost to our economy. We still haven't recovered from it. Last thing we want is a conflict in Iran, which is obviously going to affect us. Not just affect us, it will affect oil prices, it will affect UAE, Saudi Arabia, and we would do anything for there to be a peaceful resolution.
There are concerns about your nuclear weapons and if terrorists ever possibly could get control of them. That's one of the concerns that the Pentagon and the intelligence community here worries about. Is there a worry?
They have absolutely no need to worry about Pakistan's nuclear weapons, because Pakistan has one of the most professional armies. We have one of the most comprehensive command and control of our nuclear weapons, and the United States knows about it, because we share our intelligence with the U.S. about the way we have the safety measures about our nuclear program.
Last thing, the relationship deteriorated. Obviously, after the bin Laden raid, it deteriorated after a lot of back and forth. The aid was cut by President Trump. Today, what's your sense after this meeting in the Oval Office about the financial relationship and the counterterrorism relationship?
You see, the whole idea of this meeting was that we should be on one page. This mistrust which has dogged our relationship. Pakistan, was it an ally or was it an enemy? We were being bombed by drone attacks by an ally. And so all this mistrust in the past, we wanted actually to reset our relationship based on understanding that we are on the same page. We want peace in Afghanistan. Pakistan will do everything to help Taliban come on the dialogue table so that there is peace. So I think we struck that understanding today. I think I came out feeling that we really are now allies. And both of us want peace in Afghanistan, and we will do everything Pakistan will do everything possible to ensure that this peace process goes forward.
Mr. Prime Minister, we appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.